And for the reveal of the truck, here you go. Started rattle canning the Z. No prep, no anything. I really don't give a shit. It's a drift car. I mean, you can see the dents all over it. I really don't care. I'm gonna probably wet sand it or just hit it with some 1000 grit. I mean, there's no point in doing body work when everything looks like this. So I literally just, this car was already primered in the past, so I'm literally just spraying right over the primer in thick layers. No need to take my time and make it nice. If it gets wall tapped, you just go ahead and take everything off and just spray right over it. Is it easy enough? I've only gone through a can and a half and I've already done a quarter panel and the hatch. There's really not that much left to go, even it's just the bumper, doors, and one fender and the roof. Everything else is easy enough from there. Close up for the night and say goodbye. Got the other quarter panel painted. I went ahead and sanded down the hatch as well. Just took any rough spots out of it for the most part. I'm gonna buy more sandpaper at work and just go ahead over the whole car again. This is only the first layer of paint. I laid it on thick, that way I can sand deeply through and figure out where the low spots and high spots are. Since it is black, it helps with that a lot. And everything should be easy from there. I know I said that before, but it really will be. I've only got the doors really and the roof left to do, and the rear bumper, because my hood and fender are already painted. I've got almost the entire car completely painted black. Looks like complete poop. Really couldn't care less. You can see every little spot that looks like shit, but it's whatever. It really is a drift car at the end of the day. Just some taillights, the plate back on, get rid of that wiring, go ahead and do my rear window, and it really won't look like that bad of a car. It's just for now. It looks like a taken apart piece of shit, so just go along with it. And another thing I'm happy about is that I was able to hide the missing A-pillars and stuff now, because it blends in with the black body lines. And started a really rough cardboard template. I got my sheet of poly, which if you saw part 1, I was waiting on this to deliver, and I had gotten all the edge around here painted with matte and rust protectant up where there was problems. It's all been good so far as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and get this really rough template laid out across this poly, and I'm gonna cut a little bit around it. So that way there's overlap when I go ahead and put it on here, and I can grind it down, sand it, whatever I need to do to get it to fit. But I didn't realize how thick of poly I had ordered, which I'm not complaining about because it will offer better protection, but it's gonna be a lot harder to cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this laid out across the box where I stole the cardboard from. Important tool, in my eyes at least, when doing something like a windshield or a window, is a riv nut gun. You just thread it into one of these inserts and press it in, and you can run a bolt right through it. So I'm also going to be using this brace through the middle, and I didn't want to just send self-tapping screws through, because constantly pulling in and out self-tapping screws, if I ever wanted to take out this windshield, is just going to make a rusty hole. So I figured I'd do it the right way the first time and not regret it later on. You can pick up one of these guns for, I think I paid about 50 bucks at Harbor Freight. And it really isn't bad quality. I've tested it a couple times already. Laid out a line around the poly with a Sharpie about a 1/4 inch past my template, just for a little bit of playroom. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out. I don't know if I'll use my angle grinder or my Sawzall, but I'm just gonna get it roughly out. I can always sand the edges later on, doesn't matter. My only worry with using the angle grinder is that it could melt through this material, as I've heard other people say, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try. Got the windshield roughly on here. Obviously could trim a little bit off the bottom, did that on purpose. I went a little short on the edges, but I can definitely make them work. I went ahead and put a line up here because this top cut did not come out flat at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and line that up, and I'm gonna use that top line since it's the straightest to go ahead and base everything off that. So once I get it smooth to that top line, I'm gonna go ahead and figure out the middle point of this whole windshield, make a line down the middle for that bar, and I'm gonna figure out how much I need to trim off the bottom and straighten up all the edges. Once that's all done, I'm gonna go ahead and use that rivet tool that I showed you guys to run a couple riv nuts through here. Probably one in the corner up here, one in the corner up here, and one somewhere in the middle here. If you add too many, you start to get a flexed look in your windshield where it looks wavy and nothing like a real windshield at all. So I'm gonna try and run as little riv nuts as I can and then run RTV behind it just to seal it all up. Using this video as a how-to. If you do wanna use an angle grinder, just know you're gonna want some kind of scraper around. I had this big bar, and you're gonna wanna scrape the edges as you go, maybe every foot or so, because this stuff will melt everywhere and it dries really fast. So you gotta scrape it off as quickly as you can, or it will stick the two pieces back together. As you can see on these edges like this, that's already back to rock solid plastic. So make sure you get that stuff off fast. It's a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's just, angle grinder was still way faster than this shitty Sawzall blade. I mean, I could have gone and got a new blade, but this was already right here, so just went ahead and worked with what I had. Now that I've got everything cut out to the size I want and ready to bolt into the car, I'm going in through here with my sander and some 220 grit, and I'm smoothing out all these edges. You can see not the smoothest at all as I've gone through, but after all, it is a race car. Sorry for the burp. And I mean, it's a lot better than over here where you can hear everything. Right here it's nice and smooth. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut out probably a 1/4 inch border along this whole thing, peel up the clear and paint it on the inside. And you're gonna go ahead and use a matte paint, that way it doesn't reflect on the inside of the car if there's any sunlight. But this clear will still have it show through as a gloss paint because you're looking through a clear surface. Went ahead and traced all around to the Sharpie and followed that line with a razor blade. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel that part back. And I'm gonna use this existing plastic as a mask so that I can paint where I've removed this plastic. Now, with any black matte spray paint you have, you're gonna go ahead and paint along those lines. You can use masking tape around those edges if you want a cleaner line, but for me, this car isn't clean. I really don't care. I'm just gonna go ahead and paint it. I'm gonna go ahead and paint it around this whole edge. So I'm gonna grab a corner of this and peel it all the way up. There's a lot of paint on it, so it's making it a little bit harder, but this is... Ooh. There we go. And I'm gonna do that all the way around. With the black edge done on the car, and I filled most of the rivets out. This is how it came out. Obviously, I don't have that front sheet off yet, and I didn't finish the rest of the rivets or the center support, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how to get this on. I didn't need to do anything fancy or record every little step of the way. It's kind of self-explanatory once you get started. Just shape it out and get it bolted. After all, it is just a big plastic sheet being bolted to a car. It's not the most difficult thing in the world. And this is why I was saying to paint the inside. It looks bad inside, but once you go ahead and come out here, it looks like a nice gloss black edge, just like you would see on every other car. If you see that black edge running across on the truck and on the back of my truck, you know, it looks just like how they would do it from factory. Obviously not as smooth as a factory line, but it follows the factory idea and it blends in, because I plan on putting silicone on the back side of here, and I did not want to be able to see that because it's just going to be gooey and misplaced. Now for the most satisfying part of all this, getting to peel this off. Damn, that looks good. Hey, it's always the last couple bits I gotta screw up every time. I still have to clean it, but damn, that came out good. Hell yeah. For like $100 for the enough material to do a windshield. It's not bad at all. It's lighter, less susceptible to cracks, easier to remove, and cheaper than a stock windshield. So my windshield is already cracked from the crash. Might as well go ahead and do this, and it's crystal clear. Probably see some fingerprints from working on it, but crystal clear. It's gonna be super easy to see out of. Now that I got the Duramax, my first vehicle with a bed and plenty of storage, I went ahead and picked up 4 Z wheels. They are DE wheels, which I've never had for my car, even though it is a DE from factory. It came with aftermarket 19s. I went ahead and traded him my 19-inch wheels, and I got 4 DE stocks with decent tires. It was definitely a good trade considering my 19s were all on wire, and they were also heavy and ugly. So I got those in the back right now. I'm gonna go ahead and unload them. I'll record again whenever I start unloading them at the house. And I don't need to test fit them on the car because they already are designed for it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put them on my tire stack and get ready for my first drift event. These are the Z stocks in question. Just plain DE stocks, unpainted. Somewhat decent tires on them. These are the rears, which he said have been replaced pretty recently. They're just kind of dried out from sitting. I mean, this is the worst one, and it's still got a decent amount of tread. This one's probably gonna give me the most grip, which I'm not looking forward to. A little bit of side bite, but it should all work out. Can't really complain considering they were free. All I had to do was trade the wheels that I didn't really want anymore.